advertised to the public and they can attend. I can remember the one meeting that you held, I think it was the first one we ever held from this council, a town hall in Port Franks on the ice management, and we anticipated the gloves coming off. It was one of the best meetings I've ever attended. People need to know that they will be heard, they will come to the table. I am against invitation only. I am against a working group that suggests decisions will be behind doors. I know it's not a decision-making group. I know it's to bring information to council. That will not be the perception. So I would like to see this wrapped up as a committee of council, according to the rules of committees of council. And the ombudsman sees very clearly this is a hugely contentious issue for this municipality, and we need to be addressing it in an open, transparent, council way.
Scott?
Motion.
Yeah, I know, well, that's true. Part of the reason that, I mean, what you've written is good, and all the stuff that's in here we can use. But I've already had phone calls from people saying, I want to be on that committee.
Yeah, and I don't think the report suggested that anybody would be restricted. It was everybody was invited to attend.
But I'm thinking, like, from my point of view, I thought it would be more, I think John described it better than I did, an EDT, like an economic development task
Yeah, I
force
think,
or
if I may, Mr. Chair, that was the whole purpose of this report, was just to, quite honestly, to throw something on the table so council could discuss, because the motion was put forward with, not full direction on what the vision was, and the purpose of that's the purpose of the report. To do that, I would agree with Councillor Russell that we are, this is in the infancy stages, and maybe we need to take a few, small baby steps first to decide what it's going to look like, and maybe some roundtable meetings with these stakeholders helps to craft that. I'm not sure.
The one gentleman that I did talk to on the phone indicated to me that he hoped that it wasn't just the town paying for it, because it comes out of his taxes like everybody else's, that he's hoping that the people that are the voters are the ones that start to contribute as well. And he, worried that people were going to, that if they didn't have representation from staff, from council, from the harbor, like our harbor master Becky, for example, probably is our harbor master Bob down there, so Bob as well, and then I was thinking that 2 or 3 councillors, just because we each have a section of the river, right? That's what I was seeing this as. This is not how I thought
that representation is reflected here.
I saw that a little bit.
It does suggest that each of the ward councillors sit on this, and this terms of reference could easily be flipped over if you just change the name to committee of council and change a few words in here. It probably does guide it. This is reflective of what Colin would have done.
Okay, fair enough.
Councillor Russell?
I'll make a motion that this be sent back to staff, considering the discussion and further report on the discussion. I think that's what Brent was after. He was wanting us to discuss it. We did. And I think he'll come back with the appropriate response.
Okay. Councillor Scott?
Can we put a time on it? I mean, I realize that it's not going to change everything. Yeah, we'll probably have to change a whole lot. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Time is on, it'll come back at the next meeting, 2 weeks from now.
To meet his deadline, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of that? Carried. 8.13. This is on page 114. This is the report, and I'm asking for council direction. Mayor Dag.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion actually that we proceed with repair of the patch identified by the complainant at the cost of $5,000 as a first step to address these concerns.
Seconder for that one?
That's it.
All right.
Seconder? Seeing no seconder, who's the mover? Councillor Bonston.
I'm going to move that we accept the recommendations in this report because they have addressed all of the delegation material that was put forward. It has addressed all of that. I think it's addressed it to my satisfaction anyway. And I think we have to be very careful that we don't spend tax dollars on band-aiding. This is a bigger problem than just this one area. It's in the capital. We know we're going to be putting extensive road repairs in here in the foreseeable future. I believe that there's probably an on-site resolution to the vibrations that could be suggested. So I'm going to move the recommendations of the report, and I'm going to thank staff for the diligence they used on this, because you hit everything that was raised that night that I had questions about.
Seconder for that? Councilor Scott? Want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by that because there's multiple recommendations or options given to us. So I don't think that there's anything is limited to one thing that the staff can do. The problem is that staff is projecting that this road will not be resurfaced until 6 to 10 years out. And yes, it has settled and it has created a problem, and it may have to be repaired again in the future. But it is the only stretch that goes from one side of the road to the other. So when two trucks are passing by each other, it creates an obvious problem. I just drove over it again tonight, took a look at it, in a sense that, yeah, there's a dip, there's a problem. We can spend $5,000 and help to reduce some of the problems on that road. It's, you know, everybody who's driving into Forest for the first time, as a first impression, you get these undulating roads. I think it's a reasonable thing we can do to pay $5,000 to have at least a reasonably smooth surface in that area. Just making one patch at this point and in the future as necessary.
Councilor Underwood?
There are way worse sections of that highway going through the interconnecting Vancouver Forest, and I think the priority should be those first. We're looking at King Street, especially King Street East, coming out there around the Tim Hortons area. Just on the way out of town, we're getting the potholes. I understand they're full of freeze, but it's just not going to get better. And that's going to be something that I really want our staff to be focusing on at this point, because the best case scenario when they do the patches and repairs, we might end up with something as good as quality as what's in front of the Mrs. Ray's Chase. I have to say that, because looking at it, I spent a lot of time there. It really isn't that bad. And when you look at all of what our staff went through to ensure that the engineering firm did things and the due diligence that they went through, I agree 100% that with the recommendations here that, you know what, if we start there, we really should be looking at the worst portions of the road. If anything, we should be looking at where we put it into our plan to do that whole interconnecting link with the mains.
That is in our capital budget.
It is in our capital budget.
And
If it is that bad though, and if it is degrading, I want to know if we have to bring it up.
That's, yeah. So that's basically what the motion is. I don't know what recommendation you're
Yeah.
That is my motion, is that we have a plan for this already.
And we'll use
Capital
that.
plan.
We've exhausted the research on this. And we're going back to the plan that's in the budget. Councilor Scott?
Through you to Suzanne, is there any way that we can bring the major work up and switch things around or look at doing that?
Well, one of the key projects we're working on this year is our asset management plan.
Okay.
So our capital plan for the next, presumably 10 to 15 years will be flushed out through that process. And part of that process is doing condition surveys on the roads, and importing the information that we already know from the roads need study, incorporating that in with the age of the water main. Main Street South should funds be available. It's a very costly project. It would be prioritized very near the beginning of that, given the age of the water main and another priority of a 6 to 10 year priority in the roads need study. So that'll marry up very nicely with beyond the 2015 and beyond time frame.
So we would keep that in the forefront of thinking that if there was money to become available, that we would take a look at these areas that we have complaints on.
Council's typical process of planning through this through your capital budget. But I think you'd have to have the understanding that road reconstruction is the only road work we do that year.
That's it.
Councilor Russell?
I'm wondering, do we even need a resolution? Because I look at it in the resolution that I made and Councilor Barnes seconded originally on this before the